sometimes that we get from the mothers is sometimes the insensitivity that comes with other parents who may have no idea what it means living or taking care of a child with autism. I know sometimes, I think it's a cultural thing. Sometimes there's a tendency to ask questions. For example, you meet this 4-year-old and you're wondering why this 3-year-old is not responding to you when you're talking to them. And then your response will be like, oh, this is 4. Why isn't he not talking? So you can see how insensitive that can be to a mother who's taking care of a child with such kind of deficits. So the reason we're having this presentation is that we are aware to say autism exists, and there are children with certain deficits in their language, in their communication, and so that we are not insensitive, even in the way we handle them. Because sometimes those words can be quite hurtful to the parents that are taking care of these children with special needs, in a sense. And also to emphasize that autism doesn't mean the child will always need specialized care. As I mentioned, to say sometimes the symptoms may be mild, and this child may not necessarily need specialized care or special school, because sometimes that is always the fear for the parents. So if I bring in my child for screening, you condemn my child to special school. So that's not always the case. And then I also just want to re-emphasize on the importance of early diagnosis. That's very important. So if we have a child, or you have a nephew, a niece, who may have some of the symptoms we were mentioning earlier, it's important that they are brought in for screening so that an early diagnosis can be made. And sometimes it's also important that the child is brought in for screening so that we reassure the parents. Because some of the things doesn't mean that the child may have one symptom of the things I mentioned, doesn't necessarily mean that they have autism. Because remember to say there are so many things that we look at to be able to make a diagnosis of autism. Some children may just have a speech problem, not that they are autistic. They may just have speech as the only problem. So it doesn't necessarily make them autistic, they just have a speech problem. Yeah. So that was the point of having this discussion, is so that we, one, increase the awareness, so that people are aware to say autism spectrum disorder does exist amongst us, and just some of the things to be able to look out for, and that's also that we provide the necessary support to the parents and guardians who are having children with autism. So thank you so much for listening. I will pause now for a minute or two to just take in some questions or concerns. I don't know if there are any questions with regards to autism. Do we have any questions? Oh, there's a hand there. Most boy children tend to kind of not delay, because